All right, so this is just going to be a quick run through of some different marketing components within Medicare Pro CRM. We'll touch on the automation suite and how you can set up some automated workflows, and then also the reporting page where you can do ad hoc bulk sends and making a few templates for those situations. So let's jump over to the automation page real quick. And from here, we can start making some automations. So the idea behind an automation is, hey, let's have Medicare Pro listen for when something happens in my CRM. Once that thing happens, then we want Medicare Pro to do a series of actions for us. And typically those actions are like send an email, send a text message, sync a contact. You'll see as we get into it all the different actions you can perform. So first things first is kind of just starting with a fresh automation. So if you come here and click New Automation, you're going to be given a choice between starting from scratch or starting with a starter template. So if I hit Starter Template, we don't have a ton of these just because, everyone is so particular with what they want the system to do, but these are kind of meant to give you a baseline, a foundation. All of the starter templates can be edited, changed up, but it kind of gives you like, okay, here's where we're going to start. Lets you see how the automations are put together. So we can look at these. It's going to give you a description of what it's going to do. Any starter automation, if it uses some sort of messaging template, it's going to let you know what template it's also going to make on your behalf. So this one is really geared towards listening for when you add a new policy to a client profile page. And then it's going to just send an email to a client with policy information. This could be, you could extend this, do whatever you want. Same with policy issued. It's going to listen for when a policy gets changed to active, usually on the effective date. And then it will send out a series of emails over time. So first it's going to send an email letting the client know their policy is active, and then a 1, 3, 6, and 9-month follow-up throughout the year. Another simple one is like a happy birthday. So this triggers whenever a client has a birthday, really simple. And then this one's geared more towards prospects and leads. It's going to trigger when you change the lead status to called. The starter templates are not exhaustive, but like I said, meant to just kind of get your juices flowing with some ideas. So let's just pick new policy. We'll hit choose this template. And what this is going to do is create the entire shell of the automation for us. And it also created the email template that this automation wants to use. So it created the new policy email template. We can hit preview to kind of see what it's going to look like. So a nice greeting to the client. It's going to list information about the policy that you just added to the account. Very nice, very professional. So let's walk through how an automation works. The first part is the trigger. So this guy right here up at the top, this is the listener, right? So the first thing we need to kind of look at is this event right here. What should start this automation? So in this case, it's when we add a new policy to an account. And down below, we have some additional criteria that kind of fine tunes exactly what we're looking for. So this is saying only trigger if the status of the policy is pending, right? We can change this, add on to it, because we don't really want the automation triggering if we added a canceled policy. That wouldn't make sense, right? So we need to be kind of mindful of exactly what we're trying to accomplish. So this starter template kind of takes care of that for you. You can add more criteria if you want. So if you want to be more specific, say, hey, only trigger this if the client's preferred language is, Spanish. Then you might have a Spanish version of that email template. And then you could have two different automations, one for Spanish speakers, one for English. You get the idea. So this is the trigger, super important. This is what fires everything off. And this is our action, right? So if we open this up, it has a few different components to it. The first one is the delay of the action. So when should this trigger? In this particular starter template, we just want it to go out immediately. So the minute the policy is added, it's going to send that communication to the client. Next is the action itself. So what is it going to do? So the action type can vary. Most all the starter templates will have the action type as email, just because you can use MedicarePRO's default email in the system. For any of these other sending methods, you do need to have an integrated service. We don't know if you have that connected or not, so we just default to email. But let's say you like this starter template, but you would prefer to send a text message. That's totally fine. You can change the send type to SMS. And if the system detects, hey, you don't have an SMS service integrated, it's going to let you know. You can click add an integration. If you use any of these services, you can just go ahead and quickly set it up and be well on your way. It's also saying, hey, you don't have an SMS message template set up either. So when we made this starter template, it made an email template, not an SMS. So we could simply click that button. We could go to the new policy email template that the system made for us. All looks pretty good. We can just hit duplicate. And we'll just call this one SMS, and then change the type to SMS. And so the thing with SMS is there's really no styling involved. It's all text. So this looks pretty good. I think it'll work. So we'll go ahead and save that. So what's really cool is you can edit all of your message templates and integrations right from within the automations page. You don't have to leave it. So now that we made that template, it's available for us to select. So yeah, starter templates, really simple, kind of get the juices flowing. You might say, hey, this is neat. I like that email, but I want to go a step further and also reach out to the client a week later, make sure they got their cards in the mail, that sort of thing. That's easy peasy. All we have to do is click add action, and we're going to say, hey, 1 week after the trigger, let's go ahead and follow up with an email. And I don't really have a template to use, so I'm just going to make one real fast. New template. We'll just do a blank template here, and I'm going to use the Ask AI feature to just write us something. An email to my client. Something like that'll work. Let's see what it comes up with. Yeah, it looks great. So we're going to use this response, and we're just going to give it a name real quick. Call it 1 week follow-up, email category. We can make a new category if we want. We'll call it retention. And cool, I like it. So we're going to save that template, close it, and now that should be available for us to pick from 1 week follow-up. Let's give it a quick preview. That looks nice. All right, let's create it. Boom, so there we go. So now this automation is pretty much ready to rumble. We got the trigger set up to our liking. We have that initial email we're going to send, and then that 1 week follow-up. The only thing you'd have to do with a starter template is when you're ready for it to be active, click the trigger and just change the status to active and save it. And now we can see that this bad boy is listening for that trigger. So that's just a sneak peek at using the automations. Of course, you can come here and hit blank template and start from scratch and do whatever your heart desires. The next component is kind of doing ad hoc sends, maybe in bulk or something like that. So automations don't really do bulk operations. They're all trigger based. They're one by one. So you do this thing happens, etc. If we want to reach like a group of our clients during AP, that's something we'll have to do from the reporting page. So let's jump over there. And the first thing we kind of want to do is build our list, right? So maybe we just want all of our active clients. Maybe we want to find all of our active clients by a particular company, maybe by a particular plan type, plan name, demographic. The report builder gives you tons of options to really narrow down your list. So once you build your list, then you can initiate like a bulk send. So you'd click actions, hit send emails, and be well on your way. You can also make your templates right here in the reporting page. Super easy. We'll hit new template. Let's just look at a starter template real quick. Maybe this one, AP is almost here. That looks cool. We'll use that, and we're going to save it. Cool. So now we're ready to go. We'll hit actions, send emails. We're going to pick that template. And we can, the subject line by default is going to be the name of the template. So if we want to change that, we can. Just change it right here. Hit preview. And now it's going to show us 5 of how many we're sending, just so we can quickly see. Okay, put in the person's name. That's great. And then send it. So a little bit more about the templates. If you want to kind of get more data dynamically added to the template, peruse the merge tags right here, and you can fill in all sorts of information either on the client's policy data, PCP information, your information. If you want to include an unsubscribe link, if this is more marketing based, we might come to the bottom of our template and just pop in this little unsubscribe link. So if a client does click that, it's going to mark that email address on their account as do not email. So it'll be excluded from any other lists you try to gather in the future. So yeah, pretty easy stuff. Automations, remember, for one-off triggers. Reporting page is more for your ad hoc bulk sending. So have a look at both and reach out to support at MedicarePROCRM.com if you need any more help. We also have our help articles. If you click your initials or profile picture and go to help, you can look in here for what you need. We have a full dedicated page on the automations. We have a full dedicated page on reports and marketing, how to print mailing labels, the unsubscribe option that I just went over, pulling reports, exporting data, sending bulk mail, blitz mode. So a lot of good data in here for you to get yourself ready to go.